So, searching the news this morning, you saw a lot about Iran and Israel, but today I'm going to be talking about good news in Ukraine. There's a lot of really good things happening, and I don't want you to miss that because of the other headlines. So, I'll do another video about what's going on with Israel and Iran later. You can watch that if you want, but right now I want to focus on what's going on in Ukraine. At the very end of this video, I'll talk about the connection between Iran and Russia. Specifically as it relates to Ukraine, what's going on with Israel and Iran. Okay, but first, let's talk about some good news, because there was some really good news day over day. Ukraine's forces are pushing back Putin's troops in the Sumy region, says Zelensky. Russians tried to advance. Fierce fighting continues near the border, but it looks like the Russians are getting pushed back out. Now, they haven't broken through the front lines around Sumy, but they were making some gains, and that's because it's like farmland and it's not real. There's not really a lot of defensible kinds of things. Okay, so here's the actual article itself from the Kyiv Post. Ukrainian forces are gradually pushing Russian troops out of the Sumy region, Zelensky said in his evening address. Quote, "Our units are in Sumy are slowly pushing the occupiers back. Thank you. Thank you to every soldier, sergeant, officer for this result, every unit." Zelensky didn't provide further details or evidence confirming Ukrainian forces are advancing in a Sumy direction, but he doesn't come out and say these kinds of things without having some evidence of what's going on. So that's good that they're getting rolled back slightly or incrementally. Okay, Russian channels are reporting that a Su-25, I'm sorry, it's old habits die hard. I've been told that I should be pronouncing TU or SU, Su-25 crashed. Now, it wasn't shot down, it just crashed, but I'll take it. I mean, that's one less airframe that can be used against Ukraine, so that's good news. Now, after Spiderweb, Russian bombers flee to the Far East after Operation Spiderweb. The Tu-95 will now need 23 hours for Ukraine missile missions. Think about that. So they're safe over here, but now you can see them coming from a long, long distance, and you can prepare for it. Moscow moved aircraft to these other bases even further from the Ukrainian border. So, yeah, now it's going to take them a long time to get up in the air and get to where they're trying to go, which will give them, which gives you some breathing room, some distance to be able to prepare for what may be coming. Okay, Russian forces have intensified assaults on positions held by Ukraine's 63rd Brigade near Liman. According to the brigade, there has been a notable rise in Russian soldiers surrendering, and many do so voluntarily. Well, that's a very dangerous game for the Russian soldiers to surrender, because if they are trying to surrender, the Russian drones try to take them out in the process. It's really bizarre to see what happens there. Here, it's long been known that Russian soldiers returning from Ukraine captivity are not allowed to go home, but they're sent straight to the trenches. What? You were just a POW. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're ill. They're considered unreliable and must atone for the guilt having been taken prisoner. So they have to go right back to the front rather than go home to see family and be reunited, because that's how Russia treats human beings, even Russian human beings. It's really astonishing to me that they would send these weakened troops right back into the battle to be, well, eliminated faster. Okay, now Andrew Perpetua, he tabulates the hits on vehicles and things along those lines. He said, "I've counted 34,943 Russian combatant deaths over the past 289 days since he began tracking." I wouldn't want his job. That seems it seems pretty miserable to have to do what he's taken on himself. This number will increase as I have not finished error checking, and we typically undercount during the first pass through the data. So he's tabulating this kind of thing, making sure that it's accurate. 34,943 deaths are only the ones that we can see. So when you can see video image of this happening. So there's a minimum floor here. Okay. To understand what's being missed, consider this. A shell hits 10 men. 1 dies instantly. That he can tabulate. 2 more die within a half hour. 3 could be saved with timely medical care, but this rarely happens now. Helicopter evacuations are no longer possible, and there are few safe routes out. Of the remaining 4, 3 are immobilized and could survive with basic first aid and transport within 5 hours, but even that is not usually possible. They die too. The last 2 are walking wounded. They must make their way back to safety on their own, often walking 5 to 10 kilometers under threat from drones. If they're lucky, they might be picked up by a vehicle. Okay, so that's what the situation is like on the battlefield. So he concluded this: a minimum confirmed deaths over 365 days, approximately 44,165. Okay, so that's adjusted total, accounting for wounded who later die. That's what you're going to be looking at. Multiplied by 2.33 equals approximately 102,902. Wow. Okay, so that's if you're adjusting with what you know about what usually happens, you're looking at something like that over the past year. So when we say 34,000 Russians have died, we're really saying that at least that many have died on camera. The real number is far higher. Most of them die out of sight, slowly, alone in places where rescue is impossible. And this is from what he's been able to tabulate, you're really looking at probably about 100,000 over the past year. And then when you multiply that by the time the war has been going on, you're looking at 250, maybe 300,000 that he can account for using this rough cut kind of method. That's only including what he can account for, not what is elsewhere that is out of video. So that's giving you a sense of, out of that million or so, little over a million now, and this was, yeah. So we're just over a million, 1,560 Russian casualties. And out of that, we're looking at, we can probably count 300,000 or more, probably more toward 400, maybe even higher deaths out of that. And so it's really fascinating to watch how we're tabulating this in different ways. 1,220 Russians off the battlefield day over day. Only 1 tank, 5 armored fighting vehicles, 42 artillery systems, 106 vehicles and fuel tanks day over day. Darth Putin says the reason that the war has lasted 3 years is, I don't care how many of my soldiers Ukraine kills. And there seems to be something to that. And the collective West doesn't care enough about how many Ukrainian civilians my soldiers kill. And unfortunately, that seems to be true. In the cross direction, Russian invaders led 44 assaults. If you're not familiar or don't watch me very often, I talk about Bakros because this is the high water mark on the battlefield where the greatest intensity is. And you can see, based on these assaults, how intense the battlefield is day over day just by looking at this one region. It's like there are certain counties in the United States that tell you what's going to happen in the presidential election pretty regularly. And it's kind of like that. Okay, overnight, Russia launched 55 Shahed-type attack drones and decoys, along with 4 Iskander ballistic missiles. We're not seeing a lot about the damage from that. 43 of the 55 were knocked down one way or another, and that's good. Now, it's good that it was low, but it makes me worried because I saw 60-something yesterday, and I think it was 60 or something the day before, and we know that the Russians can pump out about 166 a day on average, and so it seems like they're saving up for a big hit to come. Russian airbase is burning after Ukrainian drone strikes in occupied Crimea, and you can see that on the firm's data map. Fire is reported in the Kralstal oil depot in Ingles, Russia. Local groups say that another fuel tank is burning with smoke covering the city. The plant stores various fuels, including aviation fuel for Ingles military infrastructure and Russia's long-range aviation. This is the 3rd strike this year at the same place. So, okay. Precise FPV drone strikes hit Russia's decision-making center. This is in the Kherson front. Mathematics of war. So this is the way that war actually is working now in Ukraine. It's become a pretty simple formula of artillery plus drones. The drone finds it, maybe hits it, and then you know what the location is, and the artillery zeroes in. Commander of the Ukrainian unmanned forces, Robert Magyar Brovdy, has announced a set of reforms to improve the effectiveness and logistical supply of drones in the Ukrainian armed forces. They're to be implemented over the next 3 months. And I want to highlight a couple of these. These sang to me as a management professor that focuses on leadership. I get what he's trying to accomplish. So the first thing is a unified system. All units of the unmanned systems line of drones performing combat missions at the front will operate in a single electronic system of planning, analysis, coordination, management, and online reporting. So the idea is that everybody like the commanders know where everything is simultaneously. But then there was another one that grabbed my attention as well. Here. Okay, no, that's not it. Pilots fly. Everyone else works to support the process. I thought that's really interesting. The pilots are so in demand that pilots fly. Everyone else works to support the process. The pilots are the superstars here. If you can just get enough pilots into the fight, yeah. And then the ground robotics complexes as the main means of logistics and warheads, drones, and peripherals to pilots in position. So those ground drones are going to become increasingly important over time. Okay, kamikaze drone washes up on the Turkish beach. It's allegedly Ukrainian. They don't know exactly what it was. Maybe it was a Ukrainian drone on its way to Crimea, knocked down over the sea, and then it washed up in Turkey. How about that? This guy is a Azovstal defender, who was released back in 2022 with 215 Mariupol defenders. He now helps other veterans rebuild their lives. Right now, there are 8,000 Ukrainian soldiers who are still in Russian captivity, just so you understand what's going on. They're trading soldiers right now, and we don't know how many we're getting back, and Russia's getting back. But when Ukraine gets them back, then they're not going right back into the fight. They're going to their family to be rehabilitated and so on and so forth. But yeah, okay. After the SBU stunned Russia with drones hidden in cargo trucks striking airfields, the sight of a HIMARS launcher emerging from a shipping container at Fort Bragg is fueling talk of a new kind of warfare, Trojan horse strike. Now, I don't know if that was just being shipped that way or if this is just speculation or what exactly, but yeah, I think warfare has changed significantly. And I'm going to show you another thing, what the Israelis just did, because it matters. Okay. Here's the Lika 100 UAV, one of the best reconnaissance drones in service in the Ukrainian army. It has a range of 100 kilometers. That's crazy, allowing it to observe the situation behind enemy lines, and only then they act. So again, everything can be seen. It's almost like World War I in that sense, like you just can't get away from it. Okay, the big news last night, all night, was massive Israeli strike going on. So Israel struck Iran's nuclear facilities and decapitated their nuclear-related leadership. Okay, so let's go back. Jay and Kyiv talking about the signing ceremony of the Russian-Iran Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Treaty on January 17th, 2025. That was 147 days ago. In those 7 months, Putin's lost Syria. Well, kind of lost Moldova, like they wanted the presidential or the elections to go a different way. Romania, and now, well, it looks like it's getting bad in Iran as well. Now, the Akhmat commander, Abdi Aludinov, called for mobilization in Russia amid Israel's attacks on Iran for the preparation of at least 500,000 people, but in reality, 1 million he wants. He called on Russia to unite so that no one would dare play us the way they played all the other countries and now Iran. Okay, I don't think that anything's going to happen where Russia's going to, this is my take at this stage at least, I don't think anything's going to happen where Russia's going to swoop in to defend Iran from Israel. I think they're just going to kind of leave them out in the cold. But Russia's clearly on Iran's side on this. Israel and Ukraine's clandestine operators continue to outdo each other, destroying evil, says Igor Shushko. First came the Israeli pagers that wiped out Hezbollah, and then Ukrainian drones flew out of modular homes and destroyed parked Russian strategic bombers. And now this. Well, what is this? This is in the Times of Israel. Mossad set up drone base in Iran. UAVs were activated overnight to strike surface-to-surface missile launchers aimed at Israel. So, uh, what the Israelis were doing was actually something very similar to what we saw in Spiderweb. Israel spent years preparing for the operation against Iran's nuclear and missile programs. A security official tells the Times of Israel, including building a drone base inside Iran and smuggling precision weapons, systems, and commandos into the country. The effort hinged on tight joint planning between the IDF and the Mossad intelligence agency. According to the official, Mossad agents set up a drone base on Iranian soil near Tehran. The drones were activated overnight, striking surface-to-surface missile launchers aimed at Israel. So that tamped down what Israel's response would be able to be. The systems took out Iran's air defenses and gave Israel planes supremacy and freedom of action over Iran. So the air defense was knocked out by this Trojan horse attack inside Iran. And again, that's why all this matters. The third covert effort was Mossad commandos deploying precision missiles near anti-aircraft sites in central Iran. Okay, Che Baos, who's generally on RT, is complaining about this kind of thing. According to the Jerusalem Post, U.S. and Israel coordinated a joint deception to mislead Iran ahead of IDF strikes, according to senior Israeli official. And he concludes fake nuclear talks were allegedly used to keep Tehran off guard before the assault. Okay, this is just, it hurts my head. He's complaining about fake peace talks. He's complaining about fake peace. What have the Russians been doing to Ukraine for however long? And they weren't fake peace talks on the U.S. side. The U.S. is trying to conclude it. And on the Iranian side, they're trying to stall it, which is very similar to what the Russians are doing to the Ukrainians with stalling their peace talks. It's fascinating. And then no matter how much Israel flirts with Russia, no matter how much it humiliates itself by refusing to help Ukraine, the Russians will still help Iran obtain nuclear weapons. Here's a Russian propagandist talking about what he wants to see.
What about us? We watch with enthusiasm. We are in any case supporting Iran. Naturally, we wish defeat for Israel, which is a military political ally of the United States of America.
Yeah. So again, Russia, we wish defeat of Israel, which is an ally of the United States. Like, there he is. This is a translation. He's not speaking in English.
America. Of course, Russia should be friends with Iran, should help Iran, supply Iran with technologies, and cooperate in scientific areas, including the nuclear program.
Yeah, so that's just where Russia is. That's in their headspace. Regarding Shahed drone production used against Ukraine, today's strikes in Iran are unlikely to have a direct impact. Well, okay, that's because Russia has already localized production within Russia. So like Yelabilga, that's where the Shaheds are primarily made. They were initially just made in Iran and shipped there, and Iran overcharged Russia, which I found humorous at that time for them. And now Russia makes their own. So that's not going to have that much of an impact. But the Russians, they're saying that they're waiting for a nuclear attack on Tel Aviv. Like that's where Russia is in this other fight. I'm not going to abandon Ukraine, by the way. I'll keep reporting on Ukraine. I'll also report on what's going on here in separate videos if you want to see what's going on in Israel. Okay, Iran is giving a great demonstration of why buying Russian air defense systems is a good idea. All right, last couple of bits. This is Defense of Ukraine. Peace isn't given, it's earned. Every day, Ukraine's warriors inch it closer through fire, grit, and unwavering resolve. And I'll leave you with this picture of this woman with a cat. This is Chief Sergeant Victoria Runa with the Krimchanska, the cat. Victoria serves in the 56th Motorized Brigade in Donetsk region. Runa joined the army voluntarily when she was 19. Since then, Victoria has gained respect among her brothers in arms and became the commander of an anti-aircraft crew. All right, my friends, that's all that I have for today. It was a good day for Ukraine. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.